meaty attacks. Meaty attacks are also known as early attacks, and they're kind of strangely named, but I'll tell you what they mean. A meaty attack is when you time your attack a little early against an opponent who's getting up from a knockdown. This way, the tail end of your attack hits, and you'll be able to recover from your attack just a few frames after the hit, so you can perform another attack. So,
Okay, so pretty much what does that mean about Meaties in regards to Street Fighter 6? Can you jump out of them? No. Can you mash out of them? No. Can you tech out of them? No. You pretty much have to take it unless you have the timing down to perfect parry, or if you're confident just waking up parrying, or unless you're going to reversal. Each of these can be damaging though, because if you wake up and parry every single time, then there's nothing that's going to stop the Ken player from dashing in or drive rushing in and throwing them. So again, in each of these clips you're going to see me mashing, trying to jump, or showing ways to get out of the meaty setup. But meaties aren't perfect in that regard, because if you're predictable with your meaties, then you can get blown up with perfect parries or reversals. So then this is where like the mind game or rock paper scissors kind of comes in, because if a person's predictable with their block strings on meaty setups, then they're going to get countered all day. But if they don't do them, then they're not pressing the advantage they have. And a general rule of thumb going forward is you can test your opponent's meaty timing out like once or twice, but if they're fucking nailing the meaties consistently, don't fucking roll the dice. You're just giving away damage and they're going to keep blowing you up. And finally, right here in this segment, you're going to see what happens if Guile just blocks or perfect parries or just tries to go regular parrying. He's just going to push the Ken out to a distance that's pretty much advantageous for both parties. It's like even like 5-5 right there. So just blocking it is generally the best response. Okay, the next thing to discuss is Whiff punishes. It's a new game, and we're kind of all getting used to the buttons still, but there was a lot of Whiff punishes yesterday that happened, and pretty much what makes Guile's ground game so good is his buttons are really, really good. But the negative side to Guile is in neutral, if he whiffs, he's highly punishable. Some of his moves have like, I think, -14, -16 recovery. Meaning that if you throw the button out there, you're probably going to get punished for it if it whiffs. And you can get blown up. And then, so I'm showing this right now. Then after that, we're going to look at a couple more drive rush instances with Ken after I set up with his Dragon Punch drive rush follow-up. You're going to see a couple reversals to break it, and then you're going to see mashing loses again, so obviously jumping is going to lose to the meaty, and then so like teching or mashing any buttons. But then you see the power of Ken though too, is like any type of whiff punish that this guy gets on you, he's pushing you to the corner, which is exactly where Ken excels, so try not to whiff buttons on Ken at all. Now we get the hard part coming out, so we pretty much went over like, don't throw your meat out there, dude. Like, you know, you gotta be really mindful about where your buttons are hitting, because you can't afford to whiff against Ken. And we kind of go into some clips against Jury, like how I was bullying her with the meaty setup, because she literally didn't respect it. She was just trying to wake up with everything. Then we see we land an EXDP, drive rush in, doesn't respect the meaty, and then look at we were 6 seconds into the game, and she took like half off or more. And then unfortunately we're gonna see the matches that we played yesterday, and you're gonna see a lot of whiff punches that automatically set Ken up to an advantageous spot in the corner. And so again, it just kind of highlights and encapsulates like we have to remedy this part of our play. Finally in this video, it's not going to be like a comprehensive guide to all meaties, it's just a basic understanding of how they work and how you kind of need to respect them. You can see later on in this clip, I did a meaty by just walking forward and doing that same crouching leg kick to crouching leg punch setup, but I timed it correctly, and it did hit, and then I was able to confirm off it. So it's just a general rule of thumb where it's like if your opponent is kind of decent at timing their meaties, then you might not want to hit buttons into that shit because it could hurt. Hopefully this was helpful, man. I think being aware of meaties and understanding that it's generally best to either parry them or block them is a big step. And then it's going to force you to push into getting more comfortable with the reversal timings on super. And then I think being aware of neutral is going to be a bigger benefit to being more conscientious of trying not to whiff buttons so much. Hopefully it helps though.